We'll check back with you soon. Let's talk about those new restrictions in the New York cluster zones. The shutdowns in the city start tomorrow. They're going to last at least 2 weeks.
Take a look at a map that shows the 3 different levels of restrictions. In the red areas, all non-essential businesses will close. Mass gatherings are banned, and violating the rules could result in some big fines. And people who live in these areas are not happy. There were large and at times fiery protests in the streets of Brooklyn last night. And as of right now, there are more scheduled for tonight. We do have live team coverage. We'll begin with News 4's Andrew Siff, who is in Bensonhurst. Andrew.
Yes, David and Natalie, we have been talking about these clusters in New York City over the last few days, and there really is going to be a noticeable difference starting tomorrow, having to do with closed businesses, new restrictions on houses of worship. It's impacting so many communities, especially here. And again, this starts tomorrow. In the new epicenter of the city's pandemic battle, a new system for designating neighborhoods red, orange, and yellow has lots of people seeing red.
Go somewhere where you're actually welcome.
Here in Borough Park, where COVID cases have spiked, defiance today.
I don't know why they're targeting this area.
And protests overnight, including a large crowd that burned face masks in opposition to the governor's new policy. Local elected officials even writing a letter complaining it is disgraceful Governor Cuomo would impose these restrictions.
Some people are unhappy. I understand it. To the extent there are communities that are upset, that's because they hadn't been following the original rules. And that's why the infection spread.
Mayor de Blasio explained the new color scheme today. In the red zone, where schools are already closed, non-essential businesses must shut tomorrow. Restaurants, takeout and delivery only, mass gatherings banned, and houses of worship a max of 10 people. In the orange zone, schools close tomorrow. High-risk businesses like gyms close down. Outdoor dining still okay, but a max of 4 per table. Then the yellow, where schools are open, but mandatory COVID testing begins. Businesses and restaurants stay open, but with limits.
We need to stop this outbreak dead in its tracks for the good of all New York City.
The challenge, enforcement. Just 4 months ago, leaders in the Hasidic community cut the locks on a playground in opposition to city rules.
If I could solve it, I'd be the governor.
Sam Shaw, a lifelong Borough Park resident, told me his neighbors who are distrustful of the government should mask up and follow the rules.
You can't risk the life spreading to the grandparents and great-grandparents and taking it home from the synagogue and killing them.
And there's a lot we don't know at this hour. The city has yet to release a list of the schools in the orange zones that close tomorrow. A lot of parents wondering if their kids have school or not. And also, the mayor promised there would be a searchable tool where you could see what zone your address is in. That is not up and running either. We're live in Bensonhurst. Andrew Siff, News 4 New York.
All right, Andrew, thanks for the latest. You talk about the businesses in those cluster zones. They will no doubt take a hit while they're closed. But business owners aren't the only ones concerned about the shutdowns. News 4's Gilma Avalos live in Forest Hills, Queens, where parents, Gilma, are protesting the school closures.
Natalie, that's right. The small rally was organized by parents of students in District 28. They're calling these school closures government overreach. They say the metric just keeps changing on them, and these restrictions are a hardship for both families and business owners. A day before these restrictions are set to go into place, the confusion and the questions abound.
Confusing, tedious, and frustrating.
In Rego Park, it's a tale of two Queens. Queens Boulevard, the line in the sand between the red or most restrictive zone and the orange zone.
In situations like this, things have to be black or white, but everything is gray. Everything is just mixed up. Nobody knows what's going on. Everyone is confused.
This furniture business is in the orange zone. It means this business owner can still operate, but he says that designation won't do anything to save his business.
This is hot spot, whatever. There's nobody gonna come to my place. Nobody gonna shop around.
I feel for anyone in the communities affected whose livelihood is going to be put on hold. That's a huge problem. If we act quickly and decisively, we can overcome this for all of us, for the whole city.
Across Queens Boulevard in the red zone, businesses that have been trying to eke out a living with outdoor dining won't be able to use the expensive setups they invested in.
All the small businesses are suffering already.
After managing to survive the pandemic, this latest shutdown may just be the final nail on the coffin.
another 2-3 weeks, I don't know. I think we're going to be coming out from the businesses. This is very bad.
And just to give you an idea of the confusion here, a day before these restrictions are set to go into place, business owners were asking us if they had to shut down their businesses. And businesses in the red zone didn't even know that they would have to make some changes come tomorrow. They're asking for more guidance from the city here. Live in Forest Hills, Gilma Avalos, News 4 New York.
Plenty of confusion. Gilma, thank you. Let's take you north of the city. Rockland County also included in the cluster crackdown. There are 2 zones, red and yellow. The new restrictions there take effect Friday. Investigative reporter Sarah Wallace is in Rockland County. She's working that story. We'll hear from her at 5 o'clock.
And David, we have some new information out of New Jersey this afternoon, where the state health department just told us there have been no new COVID cases linked to President Trump's fundraiser in Bedminster last Thursday. The health department says it has contacted 184 of the 206 people who attended the fundraiser at the president's golf club. The Trump campaign held the indoor fundraiser after learning that White House aide Hope Hicks had tested positive for COVID.
And Natalie, this is new at 4. Part of Monmouth County is also rolling back reopening because of an uptick in cases there. In Howell Township, all parks are now closed until further notice. And if you don't play by the rules, you could be fined. News 4's Brian Thompson is live in Howell. He's been getting some reaction. Brian?
Yeah, Dave, they had to take some drastic action, and now we just have this development. The sports fields at Howell Parks will be open starting tonight. They can play ball, but certainly at these playgrounds like this, the passive areas, that is still terra incognita for people. Don't come here. That's the word from officials. Their next step now to figure out how to reopen these passive and playground areas. The swings are suddenly empty here in Howell, just 24 hours after this town shut down all of its parks.
We were getting a high number of complaints about large gatherings of people, not social distancing, no mask usage, things like that.
So the park closed signs went up. Orange construction fencing stretched around the playground equipment, and barriers blocked entrances to parking lots. Yes, and there were complaints.
Maybe the town shouldn't be the ones to decide. Maybe people should decide on their own if they want to take the risk and go somewhere public.
But the chance of COVID-19 spread was deemed too risky, since these ball fields are heavily used by organized sports leagues for soccer, softball, baseball. They will be the first to reopen as early as tomorrow. But the playground equipment and passive areas will stay closed until sanitizing plans can be ramped up and social separation can be enforced. And while many have pointed fingers at the Orthodox community because of the high holy days just passed, the OEM director says everyone shares the blame.
Both of the Jewish faith and the regular, residents that were using those parks. I wouldn't say it was just one faith or one group of people.
The holidays did pose an extra challenge, according to Cook, who shared these pictures of an unauthorized carnival that popped up in town on Monday that drew hundreds to a rather small site. As for the parks, starting with organized sports right away, Township manager promises they will be reopened as soon as possible, safely.
I felt the most prudent decision, for the health, safety, and welfare of Howell residents was to do a complete closure, just so we could close everything down, work on a sanitization plan, and try and get things back to normal as quickly as possible.
Now, Gagan admits he took a lot of criticism on social media, phone calls, emails, whatever, for this decision. But he says he also got some understanding from people that this was a risk or a measure that he had to take. Certainly an effort to protect people as cases, positive cases in Ocean and Monmouth County lead the state right now. Live in Howell, Brian Thompson, News 4 New York.
All right, Brian, thank you.